All right, for our last exercise in the series, again, one of the tried and true kettlebell exercises, the Turkish get-up. So I'm really gonna go through this because I've seen this done and executed improperly so many times. People get injured doing it, but it is a fantastic exercise for total body stability, torso, trunk rotation, shoulder stability, all sorts of good stuff. And again, we wanna be able to get off the ground when we're old, and we have to be able to do other things like my wrestlers, my MMA guys, football players, all sorts of stuff. So it's just a really practical exercise that is a great finisher of the day. I'm gonna start with the kettlebell. If you get really good at this, I've used this with my athletes where we've actually held straight on barbells up to 135 pounds doing this exercise. And I've seen some pretty amazing people do even more, so it is possible. Here we go with the Turkish get-up. All right, to get set up with the Turkish get-up, we're gonna be lying down. We want the kettlebell relatively close to our side, not directly to our side, but relatively close to the shoulder. Here's the setup. For whatever side that I am going to stand up, I want to have 1 foot bent, 1 foot straight. The kettlebell is actually gonna go in the side as the bent knee. I'm gonna switch it over here because as you get to heavier kettlebells, I'm actually gonna show you how to even get into position. So being that the kettlebell's on this side, I would actually be standing up this direction away from the camera. However, so you can see the kettlebell, I'm gonna put my leg on this side because I said it's gonna go on the same side as my arm. But to get in, I'm actually gonna roll to my side. I'm gonna grab, so again, my bottom arm is the grabbing arm. The top hand comes to support it. I'm actually gonna lock in my lats, bringing my hands towards my chest, and then I'm gonna keep this together as I use my abs and my weight to roll directly so the kettlebell sits over my shoulder. From here, I'm gonna take both hands and I'm gonna press straight up. That's how I get in position, especially with a heavy kettlebell. So I'm gonna do that one more time. I'm gonna come to the side, laying on my side, shoulder blades together, bottom hand grabs, top hand supports, roll onto my back, kettlebell comes to the shoulder, hands are centered on my chest, punch, now I'm supported. The kettlebell just rests on the back of the arm. Also notice my wrist here. It's not flopped down here. Again, if you look at my bench press tutorial, same thing with our grip. We want to squeeze, knuckle up because we're always punching through the weight. So I've got this flat wrist directly over the shoulder, same side leg is up. Now for the rest of the motion, I'm gonna switch sides so you can see the rest of the progression. Okay, for the rest of the progression, we've brought the kettlebell to the chest, I've punched it up, I've got the same side here, I'm gonna have my opposite elbow directly out to the side. Now, the heavier the kettlebell, the more this foot might have to actually go outside because we're gonna use this foot to press and I'm gonna use my obliques and abs to crunch at the same time. So I'm actually gonna crunch in this angle while pressing with my foot. And what that does, watch this, I'm gonna press, crunch, and I'm rolling onto the elbow. So I have to come in this angle. You can see where my chin is going. I'm following my chin here, which gets, again, this over my shoulder, and I'm over my bottom elbow. This is step one. Now, from this position here, I have to crunch now with these obliques here so that I can press up and come directly up to my hand. I don't want there to be a lot of motion. I'm not moving my feet, I'm not moving my hand. So notice, as I press, it's almost like a tricep press as I create a center of gravity that comes forward with my abs. So again, I'm holding here, I'm stable through my legs, I'm gonna rock and press, and my hand never moved. So now I'm up on the hand and sitting on my hip. That is step number 2. Okay, once again through, I'm going to use my foot to press, crunch with my abs, follow my chin out to my elbow. That is number 1. Now I'm gonna press through my hand, crunch more. Now I'm up to the hand, step 2. Step 3, I'm gonna use my foot and my hand to create a tripod and lift. So it's like, here's my breakdancing move. I am getting my hip off the ground, creating space for this leg to now come all the way through. So I'm gonna drag it back so I'm on my knee. Now, I wanna get back far enough so that my knee is underneath my hip. This is one of the common mistakes I see. Because people move their hand to weird positions, now my tripod is weird. So that's why at the start, my elbow is straight out. So as I come up to my elbow and then I press, my hand, I'm making triangles with my body. So here is a triangle so that when I lift my hips, I've got plenty of room. If I can't lift my hips, I can't get this leg through. So I see people doing this scooting thing and they don't get their knee. So now when they come up, they're in a weird position. They're trying to move their knee or they're like sitting back like this and the knee's not underneath the hip. The setup is what's important. Again, if I have my elbow out, come to the elbow, come to the hand, press to the hand, I've got my triangle, lift the hips. Now, knee comes all the way through. See how I get it all the way back? Knee is underneath the hip. From here, step 4, again, I use these obliques to crunch up and I make myself upright. Head comes to the bicep. And as you can see, the next step, I'm just gonna stand up from my lunge position. So I have to be stable. Notice I'm not moving my feet. I just lunge up. Now, if I reverse that, everything comes the same back down. I lunge back to my knee. I'm in my good position here. I go and I find my hand. I tripod up so my leg can come through and I'm sitting back to my hip, come to my elbow, and I can come to my back. I'm gonna show you with the kettlebell now because you'll see, just like when I described with the adductor exercise, that kettlebell needs to stay directly above my shoulder. If the kettlebell floats away from my shoulder, I'm gonna drop it. Again, if you go to drop a kettlebell, it's not a big deal as long as you don't drop it on you. So if you're gonna lose a kettlebell, drop it away from you, okay? You should be in a good, safe area where it's okay to drop the kettlebell. It's a big piece of steel. You're not gonna hurt anything unless you're working out on a glass floor. So, all together, I'm pressing through the shoulder to create that stability. Foot, elbow, I'm gonna press and crunch, I'm on my elbow. Up to my hand, I've got my triangle. Lift, knee comes through. Now I'm underneath my hip with my knee. Now I straighten up. Notice I rotate. There's that corkscrew again. I'm nice and straight. Again, I'm not gonna move the leg. I'm gonna press through my toe and this foot to stand. Again, to come back down, I'm gonna do a backwards or reverse lunge, down to the knee, control it. Again, I'm gonna come down to the hand, but notice this kettlebell, I have to create this awareness so it stays directly above my shoulder, and this is where I get all this shoulder stability. So I come down to the hand. Now I'm gonna lift in tripod, leg comes through, I'm on my hip, come down to the elbow. Again, this is still above my shoulder. From here, I control the descent with my abs, back to my back. Now, if I wanna really work shoulder stability, I can do multiple reps here. Again, elbow, hand, tripod, knee, boom, up, back, down, knee, hand, tripod, kick, elbow, back. Multiple repetitions. If you're going for strength, heavier kettlebells, do singles, okay? A lot of times we'll typically do sets of 3 to 5 on the Turkish get-ups. Now, one last little point, I'll switch the arms so that as I've come back down to this position and here, and it's time to put the kettlebell down, okay? Ideally if you can let it fall, however, it's always best to come down to the chest and then roll back to your side, just like we picked it up at the very beginning. That is your Turkish get-up. Have fun, enjoy it. It is a great exercise. Make sure it's part of your routine.